Welcome back to another Streamline Verify video. Today's topic is to do with establishing your personal brand. So we're going to be talking about building that brand and network as a healthcare compliance professional. I'm very pleased to be hosted by Stephen from Streamline Verify. Thanks for having me, Stephen.
Mary, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for being a part of the series. I've learned tons, and I hope those listening have learned from your wealth of knowledge. So, building off one of the previous episodes, Mary, you're pretty well known in the compliance space. So it's been delightful to do this series with you and to chat with you. And would you mind sharing some advice for a healthcare compliance officer or anyone in the compliance space that wants to increase their exposure and they want to make a concerted effort towards networking? Any advice that you can lend us in that space would be appreciated.
Sure. So the first step I would suggest is understanding how you're being received currently, what your personal brand is, because even if you've not been making a concerted effort to build your personal brand to date, you already have a personal brand, which is established by the way you treat others, how you show up, how you speak, how you present, and so on. So in order to provide a baseline for yourself, it's important to be self-aware, but very interestingly, it is much more difficult to be self-aware than we think. There is a psychologist called Tasha Eurich who has done some research into the area of self-awareness. And we as human beings typically indicate, on average, about 95% of us would say, if asked, whether we're self-aware or not, we would say, yes, we are. Perhaps shockingly, Tasha's research has found that only about 10 to 15% of us are actually self-aware, meaning that there is a massive gap for many of us between how we seek to be in the world versus how we are received. So I have a wonderful exercise for us to help you bridge that gap. And this exercise came to me by way of a personal branding professional by the name of Mel Stanley. Mel Stanley's exercise is very easy to execute. All you need is your mobile device, or you can do this by way of email if you like. If you do it by email, use the BCC and send everybody the same messaging. And you can open it with something along the lines, or your text message can open them with something along the lines of, I have just attended a personal branding workshop and would be grateful for your feedback on what comes to mind for you when you think about my personal brand. And then you wait for all of the responses to roll in and match those up with how your goal to be perceived is versus what you're getting in return. And you might learn some very interesting information. Best of all, though, is that you will get an absolute treasure trove of compliments to help you have a totally happy and bright day. This will make you feel like it's your birthday. So many gifts of positive feedback. So I strongly encourage this exercise to help bridge that gap and give you some insight into whether you're self-aware or not. I think we can just assume, each of us, that we're probably not all of that self-aware based on the statistical likelihood, and work towards improving that and getting some feedback to help us.
Thank you. What about those of us that feel awkward about self-promotion?
So I think you mean every human being that has ever existed. Yes. I think
Yes.
this is a commonality across
Almost.
all.
Let's keep it to almost every human being.
So just about everybody, I think, feels like self-promotion is kind of icky. And so I hope that by the end of today's discussion, we can reframe that a little bit. Self-promotion really should not be a dirty word. If we lived in a totally just and fair world, our work would speak for itself. Unfortunately, the world that we live in is not always fair. We know anecdotally from our own observations in the workforce that incredibly incompetent people can be promoted to the highest echelons of organizations, while very capable people are overlooked the world over every day. So we can't control everything in this unfair world, but there are certain things that we can attempt to control. And building our personal brand and seeing self-promotion as a way to put our best foot forward, to be better seen and better acknowledged, is something that we can control. So I would encourage you to think of it as a necessity, to help right some of the injustice that we see in the world that we live in. And the other thing that I would say, and this is the reframing angle, is that it can be easy to get caught up in the belief that self-promotion is all about, look at me, I'm so good, please lavish and heap praise upon me for being amazing. In reality, the type of information that builds our personal brand and helps people think highly of us goes far, far beyond what we say about ourselves. So, for example, the volunteer activities that you do to make the world a better place, the way that you speak positively about your boss, your team members, other individuals, says just as much about you as it does about the people that you're applauding. So remember that self-promotion is all about letting people see information about you. It does not have to be making a post about winning an award. It can be telling a story about something that you learned while helping a charity, while helping a volunteer project. It can be knowledge sharing. It can be taking an interesting article in our space, sharing that information, adding a couple of your own observations for a little bit of thought leadership. Building your brand, building your reputation does not have to come at the cost of feeling like an arrogant person. There is so much more to it than that.
It's so true. It's like, it's like sort of like keep your mom and your voice in the background, always telling you you're doing a great job. It really will help you advance your professional success and your personal growth. So it's extremely important for you to shift that mindset, get that out of your brain, and just think about how you're really helping yourself grow within your space.
Yeah.
So it's really important. Great stuff.
I think some people right now are probably wondering, well, that's easy for you to say, Mary. You're always up and about, posting things, speaking at conferences, doing things. I'm a real introvert. Like it takes me a lot to be able to stand up in front of a crowd and do something. What about the introverts out there? Well, this may surprise you, but I am a huge introvert. Steve, sorry, was I interrupting you?
No, not at all. You're perfect. I'm shocked though that you're an introvert, because the little I've met you don't come across that way. So that's extremely shocking.
I have worked really, really hard at it because it's in our best interests to get out there and meet new people. You know, one of our earlier conversations in this series was to do with talking about your peers to help you gather a more 360-degree view of vendor selection. I wouldn't have anybody to call and talk to for help if I didn't build my network and my brand. So this is critical to our success, not only in terms of our career advancement, but also for help when it comes to our core day jobs as well. So I want to show you, and I am absolute living proof that I'm the kid that hid behind her mother's skirt, and probably still would today if given the opportunity. People who are painfully shy and introverts, you can absolutely network too. Some of the strategies that you might like to think on if you feel very nervous about the idea of networking as an introvert or a shy person or any other reason that gives you pause is to note that our real wheelhouse is one-on-one conversations. Introverts excel when it's just one other person in the room. And conversely, our biggest nightmare is a room full of strangers at a party. That actually makes me a little nervous just thinking about that hypothetical scenario right now. So, introverts who are listening in today, look for opportunities to have one on one discussions. Reach out to people that you've seen speak at a conference. Let them know which part of their session you particularly enjoyed. The writer of an article, reach out to them and say how you found that article useful in your day to day work, some of the tips that they gave. Build your confidence by taking it one step at a time, one person at a time. If I can do it, you can do it.
It's so useful, so true. It's funny because like at my family functions, my family parties, I'm the quietest guy around the table. But then you put me in a boardroom or a conference room having to present what I do. It's a different world. It's a different game. So I can completely relate to you, Mary. And just like you keep on saying, open those doors whenever they're possible. You never know where that interaction you have with that person can help you and help further grow your career. So it's important.
Yeah, I'm surprised to hear you as well. That we have really
No
similar.
kidding. Ask my wife. So it's
Yeah, it might be
out of these
useful
four
for.
walls. I'm always loud, but you can't hide this voice. But it's I'm always the quiet. I'll never get up to speak at a family function, but
Nice.
I'll be heard, but I won't be the center of attention.
Same here with my laugh.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mary. This has been a great series, and we wish you great luck on the move. Great luck in your next step in your career, and please stay in touch.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure and a delight. And I hope that your customers and your stakeholders have gotten something out of this. And we invite you to contact either of us with your feedback, thoughts, and comments if you'd like to continue the discussions.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.